Right, it is 3 o'clock. It's the 21st day of March, 2024, and we are in the Commissioners Court in the Aransas County Courthouse. Item number 2, roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Here.
Commissioner Casterline,
Here.
Commissioner Russo, Commissioner Dupnick, Judge Gattisa.
Here, we've got a full court. Before we go into items for deliberation, we have a citizens to be heard. Say your name and your address,
Thank you,
please.
sir. Jeff Hutt, I'm here with the Appraisal District, 2201 Prairie Road. Not the Appraisal District address, mine. I'm up here today just to bring awareness to the fact that the Appraisal District is looking for agricultural appraisal advisory board members. This is a really important position within our county. We have a hard time filling it because of just the particulars of, not a lot of land and not a lot of ag land, but it is really important. We're having a hard time finding it. So any help from the public, if you're interested, please contact the Appraisal District, but I just want to give you a couple of things about it. You have to own ag land and you have to be residents of the district for 5 years. You would be put to a 2-year term. The board normally will only meet once a year, so it's not a real heavy lift on folks. And according to the statutes, the board shall advise the chief appraiser on the valuation and use of land that may be designated for agricultural use or that may be open space, agricultural, or timber land within the district. So taking off my appraisal district hat and putting on my citizen hat. We live along the coast, and one of the most important things about living on the coast is being able to enjoy life here. The more concrete we have and the more development we have, the hotter it's going to get, the less hospitable it's going to be here. The worse our drainage is going to be, the more polluted our bays are going to be. Agriculture land, especially for us Southerners, has been something that's just in our blood. And we need to encourage the use of agricultural lands. And as an appraisal district, I hope we're going to be an appraisal district that's going to side where the law sides and not discourage people from doing agricultural land. But if somebody brings 5 acres for bees, little things like this, but I think agricultural land is very important for any community, and we're looking for some good advisors for the board. So if anybody is interested, live here 5 years, own property that's ag, please contact the appraisal district. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Move on to section 4, item number 1. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve proclamation P05/2024, recognizing the month of April.
That's not the right one.
What I do, get the,
Yeah. We'll start over.
sorry about that. Okay, discuss it, move to approve change order number 16 for Teal Construction for the following change. CPR 81.1 general conditions up to January 31st, 2024. The change request covers expenses incurred by Teal Construction and all subcontractors that are related to the delays in deliverabilities noted in approved change order number 006 that revives a substantial completion date to January 31st, 2024. The cost of this change request has been reviewed and approved by Mike, Monreal and Mark Williams with the Broadus Company after review. The discussion regarding schedules and expenses incurred add $328,900 in 0 days.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second it for conversation.
All right, we got a second. Opens it up. Sir, you want to come up? Mark, who wants to drive? I do have a question. This is general conditions up to January 31st, but from what day to January 31st?
It was the original date of substantial completion, which I believe was September. The end of close to the end of the September through January 31st. So
Can you find that date? Make a phone call and find that date. I want to see how many days that is altogether.
it was 116 days. Is that right?
116 days?
I thought at one point the date had been moved to sometime in November. Is that not correct? November of 2023.
No, there was at one time a change request to add 58 days, but that was in addition to this request. But we have since not approved that additional request for 58 days due to just the impact that the submittal process took on the elevator submittal.
Right.
So originally that change order started out at $508,000. And Mike Monreal, Jason and myself, we worked through some of the issues that were in that change order. We got it down from 508 to 328,000. Is that right? Going from memory, I don't have that in front of me.
328,900 is what you have
Right.
on here.
So yes, that's the effort and negotiations we did with Teal.
So for the 160 days, it comes out to about 2,800, give or take $20 a day,
August 4th, yeah,
August 4th.
sorry.
Okay.
Because we had City Hall was a different substantial completion date. I get them confused occasionally.
You know, I'm in favor of adding whenever, you know, it's inclement or, you know, whenever days are to be added and everything. But waiting on material to come in, such as the elevators and the transformer and a lot of the other stuff coming in, that really should have been looked at ahead of time before, you know, I mean, they really should have done that. And that set us back a whole lot. And I don't think the city ought to have to pay all of that. I don't mind sharing the cost with that somewhat, but I don't think the city, the county, I don't think the county should be held accountable for stuff that should have been done in the very beginning. I mean, you know, we looked to Broadus to help us out with that stuff, and I think they certainly did to some degree. But Teal, you know, I mean, I went on a limb and really backed Teal for this job because I'd seen them on other jobs and do stuff, and it was just, you know, right on the money. But this has just been one thing after another, and I am just sick of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know that there are some things that y'all can't do, you know, but putting the wrong flashing on the outside of the buildings and some of the stuff that's just been, you know, just been silly stuff, you know, different, you know, you buy the, you contract for the roofing, but you don't have the clips, you know, you know, put the wrong windows in and things. That's up to the professionals to do that and do it right. And that's just not been the case in a lot of stuff. And I'm just really tired of it.
So it comes out to 150 days. So that's like 2,192 a day. So what are we paying for that? And Jason, can you speak on that? What are we paying for $2,000 a day
So this
for
is
general conditions?
our general conditions for being there every day, and to address both maybe your question and your comment. When we ordered the elevator, we were given a delivery date that would have been done, you know, in time. And then the elevator became delayed from no fault of ours, but the elevator manufacturer. And
Well, but I understand what you're saying, and that's been the line all along. There's
Yes.
other elevators out there. You know, whenever they gave us a timeline and then couldn't hit it, you know, I don't mind being 2 weeks late or even 2 months late, but when they're virtually a year and a half late, then we should have changed elevator companies. And I realize that you build it for a specific elevator thing and you have to do that, but you know, this project has just gotten behind. Transformers, I know that's a problem. There, you know, that was a worldwide problem. That
Yes, sir.
wasn't just Aransas County. whenever, until New Mexico got its plants back up, there just really weren't any transformers made.
Sure.
Even the government was having trouble getting transformers, but not the elevator. The elevator is just, I just, that was something I think y'all should have nipped in the bud, because you had a contract with them for them to deliver it at a certain time. They defaulted on the contract, should have moved on to another contractor.
Jason?
Yes, sir.
Good. Have you ever built a commercial building before?
Of course I have.
Many of
Yeah.
them?
Yes,
Have you ever built any that had elevators?
of course. Yes, sir.
Have you ever had delays associated with elevators?
Yes, sir.
So why did you order the elevator so late? I know there's back and forth on information, but you ordered them late, even though they said you're gonna get it in time, you still ordered it late. And
I don't agree with that, but we can argue what's late and what's
Right.
not. We ordered the elevator at the first opportunity we had to order the elevator.
which was, what day did you order the elevators?
I couldn't tell you what day it was.
I think it was February of 2023 when you broke ground April of 22.
Mhm.
It seems like you caused this problem, the company caused this problem by ordering them late. Yes, sir.
You can't order the elevator unless you get everything ran through the architect and your project management company.
That's correct.
So that,
Through the architect, yes, sir.
so I guess the question is too, from that timeline, once you received everything you needed to go, what would be the goals to take that was ordered? Would that have been the earliest date, or, that's the question?
I don't know the order date, but the delivery date that we were guaranteed by TK Elevators was prior to the end of the year. And the only known thing that would have been an issue were the controllers for the elevator themselves. Those were known to always be here late in December. It's going to be right up to the last minute. And then I think it was in October, somewhere along there, they gave us a revised delivery date. And that's when things started getting pushed out.
So I guess I'm asking, wherever you received the information from Broadus and from PGAL, you went ahead and y'all didn't sit on it.
No, sir, not at all.
But there was still a loss of about 9 or 10 months with communiques going between PGAL and you or your subcontractor, I believe. Is that not correct?
Sure,
From April of 2022 to February of 2023, and nothing was moving forward. PGAL was saying, this is the elevator we want, these are the specs. And I believe the elevator company was coming back, or the subcontractor was coming back and saying, this is the elevator we're proposing. And there was just no movement on either side. That was a long time to waste.
Well, there's a basis of design typically for an elevator, and then there's acceptable elevator manufacturers. And I believe TK Elevator was an acceptable manufacturer. So that's the one was cheapest for the county on bid day. That's the one we rode with. And that's who we signed up. And we got to the order process by going back and forth with submittals. There were design issues for the elevators we had to work through. There was a lot of things that had to be worked through before we could order that elevator. So it wasn't just us not physically ordering the elevator. We ordered the elevator at the first opportunity we could.
You were going to explain what the general conditions
Oh, yeah.
entail, and then you were interrupted. Could you please do that?
Sure, general conditions are time for our project team on site, things like temporary power, temporary water, cleaning labor, all the things that it takes us to be there and function and operate every day.
So the elevators, they weren't there. So we don't even have the exterior completed though,
Mhm.
or the roof on that tower. I mean, you're not complete. How do we owe you general conditions up until January 31st when today you're not even complete?
Because at the time, the elevator was the critical path. It still is the critical path right now beside the jail standards. So the critical path takes precedence in the schedule. So when there were things that were delayed out of our control and we have to be there for them, then the general conditions reimbursement kicks in.
How long has the elevator been critical path?
Not since day one. I have to look at the schedule. I don't know that answer, the detail.
It seems strange that, okay, it's the critical path. So you basically stop work on other stuff too, because you have an excuse to stop.
No, we don't stop. We keep moving.
like the judge was saying, the outside of the building, the stuff on the tower.
Mhm.
There's a lot of stuff that the elevator doesn't have anything to do with.
Correct.
And I mean, the appearance is that y'all didn't work on it while you were waiting on the elevator. I don't think you're gonna drop the elevator down through the tower or anything.
Correct. That's right. No, there are a lot of things that can be worked on and still get worked on, but there's also many things that are driving those items too. So if we were to take the elevator off the critical path, then it shifts to some other scope of work or something else. RFI delays, change order delays, and getting answer delays, which drive out scopes of work as well. So let's just say we took the elevator out of the schedule, the critical path would then shift to something else. And we could, whatever that thing is, I would promise you, if there's an RFI or a change order or something that's pushing it along further than when it was supposed to be complete. There's many, many things pushing this job.
Right.
And this snapshot of time to 131, it's the elevator that trumps everything else.
The critical path could shift to something else, but it could shift to something else that you're responsible for.
Sure it could.
Right. So if you took the elevator off the critical path, it could be the exterior.
Sure.
We're gonna have to rip it out and redo it. So, that wouldn't be on us, would it?
I don't know the details of rip it out and redo it per the field report. It's yet to be investigated. But
I'm just thinking,
in general, if it's installed wrong, no, we wouldn't expect you to pay for that.
right. But it's easy to keep the critical path on the elevator because you were promised that it'd be delivered in time.
Correct.
Well, we were promised to have a courthouse, last fall. According to schedule. Mark, did you have something?
Just like to say that, Jason's right, a lot of the RFIs have,
Could you get closer to the mic?
Yeah.
It will not pick up on.
sorry, a lot of the RFIs are, come in before work can take place. However, the exterior of the building, I kind of differ with Jason on that, in that the foundation was built incorrectly, and it slowed the shellcrete down, which in turn slowed the brick down, which in turn slowed the EPIS down. So all of those things fall behind a contractor era. So the outside of the building, I think, is different than this RFI issue that we're talking about.
Right. I'm just thinking, for Teal to keep the critical path on the elevator. Yeah, you have no control over that. I mean, I'd say switch it to something else and we wouldn't owe you all this money.
You can't just switch the critical path. Critical path is what's the most furthest out, right? And the most
Right.
critical component to occupy the building. You can't occupy the building without the elevator,
Can't occupy the building without a roof on the tower.
you know?
Commissioners, y'all have anything else further?
$2,000 a day. That more, well, make it simple, like overhead operating expenses, we all be on staff, be on in place.
So what we did is we took our actual costs and we went through this with Broadus. We pulled our actual job costs for all of our general condition items. And we went through every single line item. And some of them were taken off, and I think I've even given a discount on there too. Just to, hey, we know we're not perfect, but this is out of our control, which is why we've submitted the change. And so, yeah, it's everything we have to function on a daily basis to build the project.
And then I guess you made allowances for work that's being done on the projects you are working, on, right? I mean,
Can you say that a different way?
Well, if you still have crews working on some projects out there at the courthouse, right?
Sure.
So you take that into consideration when you're looking at that, say, operating cost at $2,000.
I don't know if I know how to answer that. I think the answer is no. It's our daily cost is our daily cost, whether it's just the elevator delay or what the delay is. We have to be there for all of it regardless.
But I think what Commissioner Jubnik is saying is, all right, you couldn't work on the elevator, but there was still work to be done. So you would have to be there to oversee the work that was going on at the courthouse. anyway.
Portions of it, sure.
Yeah, and that's what you take that into consideration when you come up with the cost, I guess.
In this scenario, no, because the elevator was driving the critical path.
That just doesn't seem
Yeah.
quite right. I mean, it seems like there was still a need for the crew and the electricity and the cleaning and your project team to be on site. So even though they couldn't work on the elevator, they were still overseeing other work that was going on there.
Mhm.
And it was my understanding, and it could be incorrect, that until you had the trailer up at the high school, some of the staff time in the trailer for our construction site was also being spent overseeing the high school, which I can understand, that's fine. You know, you don't necessarily need the trailer right at the beginning of that project. But then perhaps we should be getting, instead of paying 100% of what the general conditions would be per day, maybe we should be paying 60%.
So right now, none of our staff on the
No,
courthouse.
not right now. This was in the initial days when the project was just getting set up at the high school, but before you had the construction site quartered off.
For the high school.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so still nobody in our staff at the courthouse today is working on the high school. Heaven might have popped over there once or twice, but she's 100% dedicated to this job. So there's no time to split between those two because we can't with all the issues we're having. We have to have the staff.
So that 2,000, that includes the supervision.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But like commissioners were saying, supervision, you're there supervising. You're not supervising elevator stuff. You're supervising work that you didn't get done prior to September 4th.
Well, the substantial completion date was moved and approved in another change order to January 31.
Right.
And so this is a catch up to that change order to pay for the added cost for us to be there to 131.
If you remember back, y'all were supposed to be done with like everything except everything that the elevator,
That's right. Mm-hmm.
that, beyond the elevator that it affected. I think there was talk of being get rid of the trailer after September
Mm-hmm.
and skeleton crews, and I get that, but you're still.
Yep. We just can't get there because of all the issues, not only issues with our subcontractors, but across the board. It's just not feasible right now. We were just talking about maybe the 1st of June, being able to get rid of the trailer. There's just too much going on.
Oh, I agree. There is.
And, I'm really, again, kind of concerned. Well, first of all, we've gone through a lot of changes, in the court and with, Judge Garza coming in and having to get his feet wet on this stuff. And I think from the commissioner's standpoint, we've done everything that we could to make this project move on. And especially with, the commissioners, looking at it so closely and all coming up. But I'm a little bit disappointed in Broadus too, because, again, Broadus, it was our eyes and ears on the ground. And a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now, we should have been talking about a year and a half ago. Or as it comes up, not wait until it's a problem. Just tell us that, the elevator's delayed. I don't know whether we did that or not, but it just seems odd that we just keep on and on and on and hearing about stuff that I can't walk the project. I have really bad knees and I can't walk the project. So I don't know, but I know a lot of that stuff was just either bad design or bad built. That stuff that we've got to change. I know still have problems with in some offices having the 120 volt power on one wall and the cable for the internet on another wall. You can't have one without the other. And I just found that out from the staff. And there's just a lot of stuff that's going on that most of it is not huge, but it's not piddly either, but it's stuff that should be on, and we should be showing progress more so than what I feel that we are. And, and I'm a general contractor and I know how that stuff goes. And, sometimes you can't get the wire that you need, you can't get the conduit that you need or whatever, but then you either go to some other manufacturer, because nothing out there is unless it's specialty lighting or something that's, subject to just one vendor. But, and I know an elevator is subject to one vendor, but I just think we waited way too long to, to look at other options. It just seems to me like it has not been managed as well as it should have. And we certainly have not been, in my personal opinion, we certainly have not been brought up to date on these projects. I mean, I know that, whenever y'all brought it up, as Broadus brought up, you'd bring 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. But some of this little stuff just needs to be on the agenda and tell us what's going on.
Commissioner Cheney, we did bring this up to the commissioners back in October, and actually, I think before then in our project meetings.
But you brought it up to us. Number
As,
one, you
as
brought
it
it up
being a
to us.
delay and a change order.
Okay, but you brought it up to us as it was already a problem. At least the judge should have been made aware on day 2 that we had a problem on day 1. I mean, this is a lot of money. And,
Early on,
we
I
have a
don't
lot of
think-
faith in what you tell us and what you do. And I don't mean to be real critical, but I don't understand why some of this stuff is clumped together when all of a sudden it's $100,000 or $85,000 or $200,000. That may not be much against the total cost of the project. It's a hell of a bunch of money for us.
Well, the problem doesn't become apparent until it sometimes is too late.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes, we're
I
notified that,
understand
hey,
that.
we've got
I
a
give you that.
delivery date that's not gonna be met. That's when it becomes apparent to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, when we're made aware of delays or delivery delays or things that are outside of our control, which we call force majeure, right, by the contract,
Mhm.
we immediately send a delay notice to the county. And we've done that for all these items, and it's all documented.
Yeah, do think about force majeure,
I understand completely.
but you
That's what
can't
we're facing.
recognize that it's there in a timely manner so we can adjust for it.
Yep.
Anyway, like I said, I apologize for not being over there as much as the rest of the commissioners. And I thank the rest of the commissioners and the judge for doing that and taking up the slack. I can't walk the project. That's my problem. But I can listen to the changes and I don't know enough about to be an engineer or anything like that, but I worked on a lot of big projects and I think if I'd done some of this the way it's done, I'd have been replaced pretty quick.
Where are the elevators at now? Do you have
The
them
first-
installed or?
The first one is almost done at the courthouse. And then we're waiting on the second one to be delivered.
So Heaven, if you could come to the microphone, just, the county clerk has to take the record of the minutes, and I know she can't hear. If you could repeat that, but I know, or I believe I heard you say that portion of this third one is here, but not the second one?
Second one is here.
The second one is
Partial of
here,
the third one. They're working on the second one and first one right now.
great. So the first one's not complete,
Not
but most
fully
of it's been
Yeah.
installed or whatever. And so the components of the second elevator are in the courthouse.
Yes.
That's good news.
Just one more question. This cost is basically for your operating expenses associated with supervising the job, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so I guess where I still have difficulty is the guys weren't, your crews were still doing work. So the cost, your administrative or supervisory costs associated with the work that they've been doing, is that included in this cost?
Yes,
Even though
sir.
you say this is still your project number one, it goes back to, like you're saying, you could pull off of this project and say you made another project priority. I just don't understand why there's the same amount of cost in there when this project is sitting still, for lack of better words. I mean, you've lost some productivity time, but your guys were still working, so you were still utilizing all your administrative support, your building and everything as far as that goes. You were still using that to manage other construction work. You weren't.
No, sir. No,
Okay.
the only one is Jamie, which is our project coordinator, and her time is charged accordingly for the hours that she works. in the
Okay,
job.
okay. that's-
Evan's 100% dedicated to this job, and so is Justin. And in fact, I think I have Justin charging a third of his time to this job to help ease the pain. And a third of his time we are eating an overhead.
Okay, that
Cost
helps
for
me
the company.
understand better. Okay, thank you. That's what I was concerned about, the difference in the overhead.
Sorry, I was having trouble understanding what
Well,
you were
I
at.
wasn't clear on that myself. I apologize. So, okay.
But the supervision part, you're still gonna be there because the stuff that should have been done in August is still, you're still working on it.
Right, but when we were granted the revised substantial completion date, we didn't know that at the time. And
Right.
so on that original change order, it reserved the right to give the costs for general conditions associated with this.
Is that true, Mark?
It is, Mike Monreal and myself deliberated quite a bit with Jason about that. And because it is a force majeure and extended the general conditions to January 31st, it drags everything with it. So yes, we're reluctantly approved the change order for $328,000, but it is a fact that is part of that extension of the contract time.
Right.
And
If I
it's-
knew back then that general conditions were gonna be added, I would have been, nope. And when you ordered the elevators, did they give you a date prior to the August 4th? Like you were still supposed to be done before the completion date?
No, we didn't have a date. No, they were never gonna be there before August because of when they finally got approved.
Nope, when you finally ordered it, right?
No,
Okay.
when they finally got approved
Okay,
to order. And then when we got the first date, that's when we started saying, hey, here's the delays.
so
But
would,
if I remember correctly, I think there was another extension of the substantial completion date after August for something else. And then within all that time was when the elevators started occurring. But I just want to reiterate, we're not doing this to try to be bullies. We're following the terms of our contract with the county. As force majeure, as showing the critical path. We're doing nothing more than that.
and you're following the drawings as they are,
I'm sorry.
you're following the drawings, building it according to the drawings?
I mean, there's gonna be mistakes every now and then,
Okay.
nobody's perfect. And in construction, that's part of our biggest job is, hey, we gotta make sure people are doing it right, and if it's not, we gotta correct it. And if we get a field report, we gotta correct it. That's part of what we're doing.
All right. Commissioners, you got anything else?
So Mark, are you saying that the argument that the elevator was the force majeure is part of our contract and therefore covered? And we need to. pay
That's
this?
right, it is, yes. Pretty much it.
From what date, though? So whenever you ordered the elevators, what day were they promised?
It's in an email from TK to us as a part of the change order.
Can you have someone in the office look it up and send it to you?
Sure.
I'll wait.
Are we to anticipate that there's going to be another change order for similar general condition payments?
What we've done at this point is we have asked for Teal's native file of their schedule of construction. And so we've got some specialists that are taking that native file apart, looking at the critical path and determining what's still left outstanding. And if there's a basic work scope outstanding, then additional general conditions from that point forward until those basic scope items are completed, they're not allowed any additional general conditions. Now, should those jail standard issue that we've got going on, and you guys all know about that, that's a potential general conditions extension of time. And that falls back on PGAL's lack of compliance with the Texas jail standards.
What was our original completion date?
It's August 4th,
August 4th,
August 4th.
before any delays at all.
Right, right. And then when the elevators finally got approved and ordered, what was their promised date to deliver?
What I'm seeing is September 1st, and then it got pushed to October 30th. And then December 31st, and the first one arrived. Then January 22nd, and the first one actually arrived February 22nd.
So the first promised date was after our completion date. So you were never gonna make the,
But that was the
Completion date.
original. We had already revised the substantial completion date from the August 4th via another change or some other topic.
The original date for the
Okay.
delivery, the original date of the elevator delivery was within the basic time, contract time.
I'm not saying after we approved an extension, but he just said the original date was September 1st, promised.
Actually, it was before then. We had a delivery date scheduled to come before our date of substantial completion.
Before our standard, or before the date of
Right.
completion.
Correct.
If we're supposed to be completed August 4th,
No, that was the original dates that on our notice to proceed. That was our original substantial completion date. It's moved several times in that time frame after August 4th.
so when the
September
elevators
3rd.
were ordered, what was the date, completion date? August 31st, right? That's what I was thinking.
So Mark, do we have a list of all the other possible things that could? We have the elevator, the next thing's the jail standards. Do you have a list of everything?
So the elevator right now, there's still another component that we submitted in October of last year. Because of the extended delivery date and then the install time, right? That was always gonna push us past.
That was the thing that was always gonna be the late, some kind of controls or something.
No, sir, it was dependent on the delivery. That was part of it originally. But then the whole thing got delayed, from the manufacturer. So in October, we submitted a delay because of when they said the elevators were gonna be here, plus the install time was pushing us past January 31.
And the inspection.
And with,
What I'm asking is, I'm getting a feeling that maybe there's a list of other things, past the 2 or 3 things that we're
Mhm.
talking about. And you had me really thinking about, yeah, if we get that, what else do we have down there that could probably the same thing happen? And I think we're all having a hard time letting it soak in that why all of the things that aren't related aren't finished.
Yeah, that,
Yeah, I
there's,
can see that, yeah, we don't have an elevator, if we got the whole place finished, except for however you get the elevator in, there's a lot of stuff out there that appears, I mean, I think in all of our minds, it should be finished.
well, and that's what I was trying to explain. There's many RFIs, there's many design changes, there's many change requests that are pushing things out. If it wasn't just for the elevator, which are causing things in the building to not be complete.
Right.
Attic
That's what I'm
insulation.
asking. I would like to have a list of all of those.
There is a disconnect between the interior architectural drawings, which are responsibility of PGAL, and the exterior drawings, which
I understand all of that.
we have.
You understand what I'm asking for a list of
Yes,
all
sir.
of the things that could continue this same situation if they don't, if we get the elevator and we have another thing on the list that falls in. I'd like to see it in black and white, as what all the possibilities are.
Jail standards is the one that's pushing everything out the furthest right now.
I know
We
about
got-
those two. I have the feeling that maybe there's more things in the list than those, and I think it's time that we know all the possibilities.
Courtroom millwork.
Right, courtroom millwork, but the other thing that I'm drafting a letter for distribution tomorrow to you guys. And it basically covers the EPIS that we're having a problem with right now.
the what?
It's exterior finish insulation system that's above the brick. We've got some issues with some incongruencies around the elevation of the building all the way around. And we basically, we're going to let Teal know in a formal letter that it's non-conforming work and we've got to resolve how we're going to fix this so that it complies with the contract documents that meets with the satisfaction of the architect.
And it's my understanding you had the same problem on the city hall.
We do.
You know, we just need we need a list so that every time we have commissioners court, we can check something off,
Right.
you know, or maybe a dozen of them all. You know, it doesn't matter how small it is, but if it keeps the public from being, it keeps number one, us from being able to be in the courthouse and the public from being able to use the courthouse. We need to, I think what Commissioner Cashline is asking is we need a list of everything that can come to mind.
Yeah, Elle and I have an ongoing list. It's,
Well, we'd like a copy of that.
and some of the things are minute that
I don't care. I
I
want a list of
understand.
everything that you
These are
think.
minute.
We
These are
try,
minute.
we try our best to try to handle a lot of this without, you guys having to worry about it. But I understand what you're saying. That will be delivered to you next week.
I think we're way past the point
Way
of us
past
not
that.
having to worry about it.
Mhm.
I understand that.
I think we've been pretty good with y'all about.
Can we hit this part whenever we go to the courthouse update? I just want to make a point really quick about earlier you said you ordered the elevators and it was within the time, the promised delivery date was within time, right? Let's just say it was the end of September and they promised a September 1st delivery date. And I mean, you're never going to get that building finished in a month. The elevators installed, because I think you said it takes 6 weeks or 10 weeks.
For an elevator install.
Right.
I think it's 5 weeks 5 weeks lead time and then a 6-week install.
Right, so you were never on schedule, you were never gonna hit your schedule, we did you a favor and gave you more days, but you're never gonna hit your schedule. And that's why I go back to you ordered it too late, because it got approved too late, which wasn't our fault, but now the taxpayers have to pay for it. 328,000 equals like what, a penny and a half in taxes? But anyway, I want to make that point that you were never going to make your date because you ordered them too late. And you've said you've built other buildings with elevators before. I know you have. I know there's a couple in Rockport and you had delays. Y'all know there's delays. Should have been the first thing you ordered. Done. Are y'all?
Respectfully, we disagree with your.
Thank
You
you.
can't, but there's, I guess, two things. One thing you can't, and I'm not trying to vouch for you necessarily, but you can't order anything until you get all your paperwork to order. I guess that's,
Mhm.
so there was no significant delay from the standpoint where you were time you received all your documentation order, was there any kind of delay?
Not that I can remember. There's a dozen dates between the start of the job and all these things that you're asking that I can't regurgitate from memory. That we have to pull it up. So happy to look at it with you. I just don't have them all exactly in front of me to be able to say, and
Right.
have the spirited conversation back with you. But we did order the elevator in time to meet our current substantial completion date, which would have got us finished.
You were never going to meet it. You ordered it in
Hey,
time.
hey guys, this is Justin. I'm sorry, I just was able to log in. I'm actually at the house sick right now, but let me give you some information that I've got. So early January of 23, I believe it was January the 4th, we received confirmation from TKE that our elevator had been ordered and was in production. Standard lead times for elevators at that time was 20 to 24 weeks. Which is roughly 5 months, which gets the elevator to us May the 1st, which then allows us essentially 90 days to get elevators installed, finish up the work around them, and get the buildings wrapped up by the middle of August. I believe at that time, August 10th was our completion date because it had been moved back originally. I believe it had something to do with infrastructure around the building. We weren't able to get started exactly the day we were supposed to. So it moved from August 4th to August 10th. Then in late May, we received information from TKE that moved the delivery date back to September because they were unable to get parts. At that time, we turned in a delay notice to the county, notifying them that September 1st was now our new date to receive it. As we get into August, we received another one that moved it back to the end of October. We get to September. We get another notice that moved it back to the end of December. As we get into the end of November, early December, the date moved again until January the 22nd. And then we finally received the first elevator on February the 22nd of 2024. So under normal lead times, and what was actually sent to our job site was 10 months of delays that were outside of our control. And that's why the elevator is driving all this. It wasn't, we can get into the coordination studies, all the electrical that has to go into it, when it was ordered, you know, why there was a time in history back in 2022 that the elevator wasn't ordered. But the fact of the matter is, January the 4th of 23, we had confirmation that the elevator was in production. Under normal delivery times, we should have had those in May of 2023. But in reality, we did not start receiving an elevator until February of 2024. And that's why this whole thing is pushed out.
I would say that when TKE provided that estimate of delivery, they knew it was incorrect. I've talked to folks at the Center for the Arts who recently had a new building constructed and they used TK, and they vouched that it would probably be close to 9 to 10 months before it would be delivered. I've talked to folks in Corpus Christi who've been overseeing construction of apartment buildings, and they have said, besides the fact that working with TKE is not a pleasant thing to do, that they are notorious at their delivery times and dates. So they may have sent that. I think realistically speaking, the general consensus was it was going to be 9 or 10 months. And I'd like to call the question.
Again, we can, you know, we have provided already. I know everybody got a binder a while back that kind of listed out some of these dates. You know, we're as good as the information that we get, and the information that we got in January was elevators have been ordered. They're in production. At that time, standard lead time was 20 to 24 weeks, plus or minus 5 months. And 4 to 5 months in, that's when we started getting delays. And the reality is we did not receive one until February the 22nd. Everything between January 4th of
we're about to
23
vote,
and
Justin.
February 24th is outside of our control.
Justin, Commissioner called question. We're about to vote. Thank you.
Commissioner Cheney, Commissioner Casterline.
Wait, can I answer?
Commissioner,
I'm gonna vote aye on this, but this is probably the last one I'm gonna vote aye on.
okay, Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Nay,
Commissioner Dupnick,
We have to, I think, because it's within the scope of the contract. So aye.
and Judge Goddessa.
We don't have to, nay, but it still passes 3-2. We'll move on to item number 2.
I move to approve the change order number 3 of the construction contract of Loop 1781 in the county's general land office community development block. I'm sorry, excuse me. The general land office community development block grant disaster relief, CDBG DR, contract number 20-20 or 20-065-098-C270 to LCT Total Transport LLC. The change order increases the contract time by 45 days and increases the dollar amount by $116,594. Additional work consists of mailbox installations, safety, end treatment, and riprap.
Excuse me, but
Shouldn't it be LCR?
yes, sir. That's, I was just gonna say it needs to be LCR.
Where?
LCR total.
Instead of LCT,
Oh,
LCR.
Should be
please.
LCR, okay. Amended.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Is David online? Nope.
that's unfortunate because I have some questions on
I
this.
think I know a little bit about it. I think that this is mostly, we have room to do some extra things in it. You know, Jackie, if this isn't what a lot of this is. Like I know they were putting more riprap around where some of the drainages were and
I don't know particularly why this additional work was there, but I do know that they had some cleanup stuff that they wanted to do on them.
I'm concerned that in the background, it says additional work is due to inaccurate quantities in the construction plans. That's significant, and I was going to ask what items number 3 and 4 on the second page. I don't even, know how to describe them. It just says SET TY 2 15-inch. Anybody in construction knows what that is, or SET TY 2 18-inch? Second end treatment. Thank you.
slope concrete.
Because those are significant amounts each.
I did talk to David. My understanding is some of this is actually the safety and treatments, like the concrete they needed for that was more, I think, than originally estimated. And the other thing is with the riprap, what ties into private property, they were extending out some of the riprap so it wouldn't have an effect of eroding some of the private property.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
Yeah.
That was well, why he's down.
Yeah. I'm gonna call him real quick. I'm sorry.
And do we usually pay for mailboxes? Does anyone know?
If we take them down, we'll pay for them, I think.
Everything was being redone and moved around, so we did destroy some of the present, because they had temporary mailboxes up there on construction
Yeah,
pylons
I
and
heard
stuff like
about
that,
those.
yeah.
thank you.
Well, he's not answering. I hope he's okay.
Might ask for David.
Yeah, he's not answering.
David.
Oh, David Morgan?
David Morgan, yeah.
He's probably out in the field.
No, their day is over.
Oh, David Moore. I don't have his number.
You need his number?
Well, is this time critical?
Judge, you
Oh,
need his-
David Reed's calling. Hey. Can you log on to Commissioner's Court? We're on your change order. Okay. Thanks. Bye. He's gonna log on.
You mean David Reed or
David
Morgan?
Reed. David Reed. Well, like he's in his office.
Does he have a link, or he can just go to our website and do it? Okay, thank you, Colin. While we're waiting, may I make a statement?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? It's just been an observation that we didn't have an agenda item for citizens to be heard on here on our special meetings. But I know for at least 2 of the more recent special meetings, we've allowed citizens to be heard.
I was gonna add it.
And I think if we're going to do that, we need to add it so that other citizens will know. I would also mention that the Ag Board has been created, and my understanding is they already have people who have volunteered to serve. So I was a little surprised by the announcement in court today.
So you know who they are?
Um, I think no one I know. I think one person's name might be Les Miller, but I could be wrong about that. Do you know that person?
I did. That was one of the ones. I didn't know if Les actually owned land, but his dad does. He lives over on Eagle Island Road.
He just disconnected.
So Tracy, let's add citizens be heard on the special meeting agenda. Okay. Yeah, let's go to the update. We're gonna let them know. Let's go to item number 3. Then he'll have to wait for us. And this is just the update on update the commissioners on the progress of the new courthouse. Good afternoon.
Good morning, Commissioners. El Morales, Aransas County. I just wanted to give you a quick update on some of the stuff that has been going on at the courthouse. There are a few exterior items that we will show you some pictures of today that will need to be taken care of one way or another. I'm not exactly sure. I do have a list of all the items that I can happily give to you. It is like basically office by office, like this office doesn't have power, this office doesn't have electricity. Happy to provide you guys with that. We do send that in, we ask for, we go to PGAL, we ask PGAL because they're the architects, they have to come back. They provide the information to Teal. Teal comes back with pricing. And then usually that pricing is so incredibly substantial. I mean, $70,000 to put in some outlets, data, that we have not been bringing those forward to Commissioners Court at this time. Like the signage was $100,000 because it had general conditions on there. So at this point, I'm not exactly sure how we're going to move forward, but there are items that still need to be completed in the courthouse. And then there's some exterior things that Mark will kind of talk about a little bit, but we had a little briefing this week about the exterior. Okay.
Thank you, Al.
Okay, so Sarah Patrick with Architects, this is one of the architectural components of the design of the courthouse. Sarah Patrick sent us in a field report. We received it this week, and it displays some conditions in the exterior finish insulation system that waver around the edge of the building. The distance from the soffit down to the exterior insulation finish system varies from 11.5 inches down to 8 inches, and that distance should be uniform all the way around so that the brackets that go under and hold the soffit in place, or actually they appear to hold the soffit in place, they're actually false. But they're supposed to align all at the same elevation all the way around the roof. And as it stands right now, that's not going to be the case. So with L's report, it's now my job to write a letter of non-conformance to the contractor. And we're going to give them some time to figure out alternatives, how this work can be corrected or repaired or modified in a way that's satisfactory to the architect and the owner. So that's in progress. That letter will be delivered tomorrow. And we've also got some pictures of that. I think, Colin, if you, the ones you had up earlier with the tile. So you can see that ceramic tile, there are like 3 bands of ceramic tile. Just below that ceramic tile is the EPIS, exterior insulation finish system. And the socket that you see there underneath the trusses is basically plywood. And below the plywood, a product called Thermary, which is it's an impregnated wood that's resistant to rot, mold, damage from termites and insects. That goes all around the building, that Thermary product. And then underneath the Thermary, I don't remember the spacing on those brackets, but they're spaced around 48 inches to 60 inches. There's a set of large brackets that appear to be rafters. That was their impression. That's what it was meant to look like. And they're applied to the bottom side of that soffit. And they're supposed to strike that ceramic tile in the same location all the way around the building. So we don't have that condition going on right now. So we've got a variance of about 3 to 3.5 inches. And in some cases, we don't know what the variance is because we haven't got measurements on the northwest corner. I believe we're lacking some measurements along the north face as well because there's no scaffolding and there's no lift over there. They're doing the groundwork for the parking lot and the drive. So we're reluctant to get any heavy equipment out there and ruin what we've done out there. But we do need that information so we can determine what course of action we need to take. So that's one issue that we're working on. But as Al mentioned earlier, sometimes we'll get a notice in, we have to review it. The review goes to the architect. The architect looks at the contract documents and says, either it is in the contract documents or it's not in the contract documents. Then we have to send it back to Teal. Teal gets a price on it. Then we negotiate the price with Teal. So that's why you don't see something happening very fast, or you don't see a report from us very fast on that. So I wanted to bring that to your attention also, that there's a lot of back and forth that goes between all these issues that we're dealing with.
This is Misty Campbell, County Clerk. I have a question about those brackets. Are they just cosmetic?
Yes, they are.
If we're foregoing other cosmetic changes, why can't we forego those at the expense?
It's integral in the part of the design. It's integral in the look of the contextual building motif that we're trying to capture in this region. We're trying to follow that same motif, and it's integral into that design. And I'm speaking for the architect. I mean,
Yeah, those are big words. No.
but just to let you know, to answer Commissioner Castellan, Elle and I will put that list together and we will have a written list for you guys to review. For the
And I think I'm
commissioners.
more interested in a list of things that have a connection to this general conditions
Yes, sir.
issue.
So if all this has to be ripped down, ripped off, whatever, and that adds time to the project, do we get compensated for that time?
All of that time is on Teal.
Right.
We have a liquidated damages clause in our contract. For whatever time we do give them, extending that substantial completion date because of the Texas jail standards.
Yeah.
whatever time is extended beyond that is on Teal, and liquidated damages applied $1,000 a day. Right, beyond the jail standard.
Right.
Now, like on that where you have the wrong material up there, which is basically, I think, what you're saying. Was it designed wrong, or was it in the contractor just bought the wrong stuff, or what?
Or
No,
are we
I'm not talking
the
about the-
photograph?
I'm not talking about the level, of the hangers and stuff, but you're talking about a different type of material. A water resistant, waterproof.
No, that's in the contract. The material is correct.
I'm sorry?
The material that's installed is correct.
Oh, so it's not just plywood? Okay, well, I
No.
misunderstood you. I thought you said that.
There is a layer of exterior grade CDX plywood on the underside of the soffit, but that all gets covered up with this product called Thermery, which is about a 1.5 inch piece of lumber. This tongue and groove, it's about 6 inches wide, and it goes all the way around the building, and it hides all of the plywood.
Okay.
The plywood is basically a substrate for
Right,
this.
well,
to
I
be
knew
in
you
here.
weren't gonna just leave it with plywood, but
Right.
I misunderstood what you said.
I'm sorry.
So that's the big issue coming up, and I wanted y'all to know that because people are probably gonna ask why they ripping everything off that building, so y'all know why.
I was trying to think back, didn't the EPAs come in when we did the value deal?
Yes, sir. That was part of a,
in
we
terms-
swapped out cement stucco for this EPA system. Now, I personally am fond of the EPAs simply because I've been on projects around the Gulf Coast area that have cement stucco on them. They're exposed to the southern sun, and concrete cracks and expands and shrinks. And when those fishes come into the concrete, water gets into the product, and the substrate behind it is usually a galvanized wire lath or stainless wire lath. And even if it's stainless, it's gonna rust.
Mhm.
It's a matter of time before that material becomes subject to falling off the building. We don't have that problem with EPA, so I was glad to see that swap in engineering, value engineering take place for that particular product.
Thank you.
Is there anything?
We did
else?
get a large credit for that too. I don't remember the number, but we got a pretty nice credit for that.
But it's also a better material to use.
I
in this
believe it
point.
is, yes,
Stucco was a dreadful idea.
right. I totally agree.
Do we have an estimated completion date? First week of June? And that's completion date. Oh, which material?
Jail standards.
The
Still
jail standard
January.
doors, thank you.
And we did order those doors? Okay, so we're not gonna be done the first week. of June. Right.
How does that relate to the installation of the second and third elevator? I think it affects the elevator. Well, I know it doesn't affect it in terms of time, but in relationship.
The
of
completion
how the
date of
completion of the
all of that.
elevator, how does that relate to the timeline? I can't answer it right this second. How long did it take us to install the first
Can
elevator?
y'all both speak on the mic, please?
How long did it take us to install the first elevator? It was like 2 to 3 weeks. Is that right? 21 working days. Right, so for almost 5 weeks.
I
So
think he might have been
technically-
asking which has the later completion date.
the jail standards. So technically 42 days after the first elevator is installed, we get the third elevator installed. 48 days, 42 days later.
Anything else you want to update on? Elle mentioned the lettering or the lighted lettering. You know, when we did that change order, we got a $7,200 credit.
$4,300 credit, wasn't it? 4,300,
And I think it was 7,200.
7,200. So
And-
if we add it back, we want, our opinion, Broadus's opinion is that the contract documents show a circuit to power the lights, and the elevations show backlit LED letters. Means and methods of the contractor is how you get the power to the letters. We don't draw doorknobs as or architects, and we don't draw flush valves on toilets. So some things are left to means and methods, and that was one of those items.
Okay. So if we could get the lit letters back, I'm not gonna pay no more than 7,200. If it's over that, we'll just keep it not lit, but I want my access panels in the back so we could change it if we want at a later date, but I want my access panels there in the conduit or whatever.
Is there anything else?
Anything else?
David on the phone.
Is David on?
I have one.
Oh,
I'd just like to know where we are in trying to make a decision or gathering information on the fire suppression system for the two clerks' offices.
Elle, you want to answer that question?
Fire suppression.
We do.
I just want to know update on the fire suppression systems for the two clerks' offices.
Before we answer that, I do have one other thing about the exterior of the building. The brick, we have a problem with some of the brick overhanging some stone. And that's been addressed in Sarah Patrick's field report as well. So that non-conforming work will also be noted in this letter tomorrow as well.
Okay.
And as far as the fire suppression system, we have a list of documents here that are provided for you guys to review and take under advisement before we.
Could I also have a copy of that since it affects my office, please?
Yeah, there's an electronic version.
It's electronic. We have printed copies for all the commissioners and the judge, and then it's also electronic, and it's on box. It's on box.
I need to know the box link. I don't have access to that I'm aware of.
We'll get it to you.
So I just want to, because this is a subject that everybody kind of, maybe some people know about it. This is a wall that's in the loggia, that I would say, in the loggia on the east side of the building. In here was supposed to be the historic marker, the 1958 historic marker that came off of the old courthouse. Somewhere along the line, the communication did not make it through. And now that we have a brick wall where that piece of granite is supposed to be placed. So that's one of the things we're working on. We also have a couple of other historic markers that I did provide to PGAL again this week to make sure that those got placed out in the courtyard. I got the measurements for them. I have sent them lots of pictures. And then as far as the thing with the arches, and I think Colin has Sarah's report so you can actually see currently how the arch is set up is everything is flush. When you look at Sarah's report, it was supposed to have a ½ inch, and then where the keystone was supposed to be an inch. That it was supposed to be raised from the
Oh, I see.
surface, that red part. And so right now, everything was installed flush. 4 of them are already completed on the east side of the building. So
Okay.
this is why we have the non-conforming letter that's going out tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
That wall, did Teal know that a plaque was going, historic marker was going there? Jason, did y'all know that?
I think we do.
Can you go to the mic, please?
Yeah, that granted. Yeah, that was from
I
last
think
year.
the answer is yes, but in the contract drawings, it says by others. And could we have cut it out or not? But this is just cause this is face brick. It's not an issue to cut it out. It's really not a big deal at all.
Are we gonna pay for it to cut it out? Oh, okay. All right.
No,
I'm good.
No, no.
I'm good. Thank you.
So what did you, that was some of the black granite that was on the outside of the old courthouse? Did you make something out of it or what?
Yeah, actually, we have a picture of it. Sorry. Colin has a picture of it, I believe, of it laying flat. And now actually it's been cut to a smaller, I think it's like 2'7" by maybe 4 foot to actually be put into it. So it's just the 19, I think it's
What
1958.
did you, I didn't hear what you said about out in the courtyard.
There are, I don't know how to describe them, but there's those two large, right now I call them tombstones, but I'm sure there's some kind of markers that were at the old courthouse. Those are the
Memorial benches.
memorial benches are there. And then
They have one at the History Center too,
a memorial bench. Oh, the
that
Siska.
looks like a tombstone, that it's something talking about the sesquicentennial, I think, and the intent was it would come over to the new courthouse.
Okay.
Right, and I went yesterday and in the picture I originally saw, I thought it was tiny and I could pick it up. Nope, that thing is 4 foot long, so I could not pick it up. So I did take some pictures of it. We will get it moved. Again, I have to say a thank you to Road and
So
Bridge
the
for taking care of it.
The memorial benches, are they going somewhere in the courtyard?
That is my understanding. They'll go into a tree. Mhm. And that is a question I have right now out to make sure that the crepe myrtle trees are not crepe myrtle trees as they are in the drawing, that they have been changed over to live oak trees. So I have that question out to PGAL to make sure that that is taken care of. Also with the community center, because we have that long celebration plaza. So. And I do believe that we have chosen the color for the railing is going to be a beautiful green color, so that'll tie everything together. As far as the brackets on the exterior of our building, even though they are more of a cosmetic look, we do want our building to be a sister building with the city. And so the city has this exact same look. And so we are trying to make sure that our buildings are complementing each other. Do you have any questions for me? Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
On the opening, we have to cut for the brick. Of course, we will cut the opening. If there's a structural component, if there's a steel or some support that needs to be in there to support that piece, we don't currently have that because it's not shown. So that'd be the only thing, but we will cut the opening. That's not a problem.
It's a flat piece of granite, is that?
Yes.
Yeah, it does have, sorry.
I know what the sheets look like when they came down. I mean, they were pretty big.
Yeah, they're pretty big and that's why we had it cut smaller, but there are little curves, I believe is what the curve inside that are on each side. I guess there's metal pieces that would go into the brick and would hold it in place. Inside, you wouldn't see it on the outside of the building or on the outside of the granite.
How big was it cut down to?
I believe it's like 2, and I have the measurements and Colin may have it, but I think it's like 2'7" this way. And then I think it's close to 3 or 4. It's just really the lettering.
And what's behind the brick when you cut the brick off? I know I've seen that before, but
It's the waterproofing and the metal framed wall. So you have the stud frame wall, the exterior gypsum board, and then the waterproofing coating. And then you have an insulation board and then the brick.
so you might very well be able to take that stone and use 5200, put it on the.
If that's what you want us to do, just tell us.
I guarantee you, I had anchor chutes on 75-foot boats that I put on with 5200 and I couldn't break it loose with a really big forklift.
I don't disagree with you.
I don't know.
I don't think it'd be right for this
I don't know how
application.
you would get it off once you put it on because you wouldn't be able to get behind it with a knife and cut it, but I guarantee it'd stay up there longer than we'll be alive.
You mentioned there'll be clips on there to get it in there. So that's not, we'll have to pay for that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, I don't think that was part of the drawings, the original drawings. I'm not sure how they were planning on that being installed.
Okay.
It just says by others, we don't know.
Okay.
just following the drawing. We don't know what it is.
All right. Thank you.
What happened to the rest of that black granite? Did it just get thrown away or?
No, actually.
I will find out who carried it on with them.
No, actually, Jackie and I were just talking about that and she said that Renee Facilities would probably want to do something with that. So we will get it back to Renee. Booth Facilities.
But I mean, how many sheets of it did we actually have?
Oh, I just had one at my office.
There were, there were.
I don't
there
know
were
where the rest
10,
of it went.
20 of them.
I don't
Or
know
at
where the
least
rest of
8.
it is.
Of the whole wall.
Probably went with
right?
all the rest of the tree.
Yeah.
That's some
Probably
money.
don't have it anyway.
All right, we'll move on to item number 2,
Table.
which we already have a motion for.
Is David online now? Can you hear me?
Barely.
Hello?
Okay, I can hear
We
you.
can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, so this is change order number 3 for 1781, loop 1781. There were some additional mailboxes that needed to be put in, some safety end treatments and some riprap. And also 45 more days.
And David, you had mentioned in the background that there were inaccurate quantities in the construction plans.
Yes. Partly miscounted, partly new stuff, new driveways have been put in since the plans were done or since the survey was done. Combination of both, I guess.
New driveways, and what did you say? I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
Mailboxes.
Oh, mailboxes.
Hey, David, by increasing the project contract time by 45 days, are we going to be hit with like general conditions here
No.
next month? Okay.
How close to completion is this project?
Very close. It shouldn't take the 45 days. But I don't want to come back and ask for more time.
And David, is this money that's on here coming out of the extra that we had?
It is, yeah.
5%?
Yeah, and some of this costs are changes that we felt were in the best interest of the project.
All right. Any other questions?
What was the original date for the completion of this project? Was it
I don't have that in front
April
of me.
25?
I'm sorry.
So I see the start date was December 12th of 2022. And then when it says construction contract end date, April 25th, 2024, is that with these additional days?
Probably. Or I'm not sure about that. The change order should have the original end date on it. I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, so where it says subrecipient contract end date, that's our date for the grant, is that correct? Of August 31st?
Yes, correct.
So we absolutely need to get this done before August.
Yes. I mean, we're at, I don't know, 95% right now. I don't think August is going to be an issue at all.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
and Judge Garza.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Heaven.